So we touched in that session on the importance of driving investment, innovation and growth right around the country, not just having it focused on London and the southeast. I'm delighted that that's really going to be the focus of the discussion in the next session, where we have Jeff Bullwinkel, who is Vice President of Deputy General Counsel at Microsoft, who's going to be hosting a discussion with Tracy Brabin, who is the Mayor of West Yorkshire, and really looking forward to getting some real kind of regional perspectives on today's subject matter. So Jeff and Tracy, please join us. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks. Hey, folks.
Hello, all.
Good to see you.
Good to see you all. Welcome, Tracy. Good to see you.
Thank you. We're obviously eating into the coffee break. I was like, I need some caffeine. Please let me out.
Not for, I think, a half an hour at least is what we're told. So my name, again, is Jeff Bullwinkel. I oversee Microsoft's legal and corporate affairs team for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Although I am based here in London, I have the good fortune of living in this fantastic city, in this amazing country, and also the good fortune of being here today with the Mayor of West Yorkshire, Tracy Brabin. So thanks very much for being here, Tracy. It's good to have you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
We've been talking, I think, during the course of the day and earlier today about the moment we're in, this moment of AI transformation and what that could be doing for economies at the national, at the global level, but really at the regional level as well as critical. And I wonder if you wouldn't mind, Mayor, telling us a little bit about how you think about this AI opportunity, just where you sit in West Yorkshire.
Okay, well, thanks for the invitation to speak to you today. For those of you that might not know where West Yorkshire is, it's let's start with the basics. Centre of the country. But it's Leeds, it's Bradford, it's Wakefield, it's Huddersfield, and it's Halifax. Any Northerners in the audience? Yay! That's really good to see. 2.4 million people, economy of 66 billion, 7 universities, 7 FE colleges. We're the home to the NHS. We have the biggest fintech sector, financial and professional services sector outside of London, an incredible creative industries sector, health and life sciences, as you can imagine, are absolute specialism. So you can see how AI is going to be across all of those sectors and going to be a real game changer for us. But it's not that we're not doing it already. We're already innovating and exploring and delivering AI in a number of sectors and businesses. So much so that we've attracted Microsoft, so thank you for coming. It's a huge data centre in Skelton Grange, £140 million of investment. But I think I would suggest that maybe you're attracted by the fact that we have some of the smartest students and professors, but also we have the data. And if you're talking about AI and learning, being able to have the data set of 40 years of imaging, that's NHS imaging that has been digitized, what you can do with that data when it comes to learning is off the scale. And I think when I've been on trade missions to America, to Dubai, and all over the world, it is that cluster of data that has been incredibly attractive and has enabled us to also build on our financial services sector and made us one of the biggest banking areas in the country. So we've the British Business Bank is there, the FCA, the Wealth Fund is there, and as I say, this agglomeration of brilliance in these particular sectors, driven by data, access to data, is quite something. And we've some amazing innovations already coming on stream.
Let's talk more about that. You say, as it is, it's about infrastructure, it's about services, it's about data for sure, it's about skilled individuals, absolutely. You're now in your second term. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Re-elected recently, so 4 years, now 5 years as mayor. When did the journey begin for you, and how did you begin to think about this opportunity in your role in West Yorkshire in particular?
Well, I didn't come into politics until recently. I was an actor. for 3 decades and a writer. Some of you may remember Jo Cox, a member of Parliament for Batley and Spen, who was tragically murdered. She was my friend. I'm from Batley. I stepped up and I became the Member of Parliament for Batley and Spen. And I spent 5 years in Parliament, 4 of those on the shadow front bench. And then devolution was the biggest game in town, and stepped up to be the mayor. But I understood, becoming the mayor, that actually we can't do things how we've always done them. We have to use innovation and creativity to solve the problems that face us, and whether that is those who are out of work because of ill health, whether that is transport. We're on a mission. We're delivering a mass transit network, a tram network across West Yorkshire. We've brought buses back into public control. We are innovating. We're driving at speed, but we need AI as part of that journey. And certainly, as I say, health and life sciences being part of our growth plan. Government tasked all the mayors with delivering a growth plan for the next 10 years. Our growth plan is absolutely, the heart of that is digital and tech. And in fact, our tech sector has grown 125% in comparison to anywhere else in the country, even outside of London. Leeds in particular is the home of digital and tech. So being able to use what we have, like I say, our 7 universities, Bradford, for example, Bradford has the highest number of postgrad data analytics and AI students in the country. I mean, if that is not a gift for a region, then you'd be a terrible mayor if you weren't running with that. And that has brought in a huge amount of investment in space. And we have Space Hub Yorkshire that is driving the innovation and use of AI in space, and whether that's satellites, whether that's green finance. There's a centre at Leeds University called Nexus that's actually full to bursting of startup companies that are using AI. One in particular uses AI to predict flooding. And across the country, you know that flooding can be absolutely disastrous for businesses and communities. So I could see the opportunity, and why would you not run with that opportunity to boost your economy and growth? But also, we are a diverse region. And certainly in Bradford, 130 languages spoken. Across West Yorkshire, 38% of the population are under 30. This is young and diverse and ready for change. So, you know, we're definitely up for it. And hopefully you will all be partners. And now you know where West Yorkshire is. I can host you to come for tea.
Not so far away. Ready for change, ready for adoption as well. As you're indicating, Mayor, I think that this whole notion of AI diffusion or adoption is such a critical dimension of this as well. You know, there's a book I'm reading at the moment by a guy called Jeffrey Ding, who's a law professor in Washington, D.C., called Technology and the Rise of Great Powers. And his premise effectively is that it's really all about those countries that manage to adopt a technology, whatever it might be, any general purpose technology, and integrate it fully through the entire fabric of their economy and society. Those are the ones that historically have succeeded. And that's what's happening, I think, in West Yorkshire and perhaps also across the UK ultimately.
Well, absolutely. And certainly when we have the highest number of manufacturing jobs in the north, we're not going to be using AI to, you know, modernize those jobs. Of course we are. And whether that's create tech, you know, leading on the creative industries, those opportunities for AI, whilst of course there's anxieties around it, but how do we make the most of it in a positive way? And that's why as an organization we're running boot camps on AI and ethics, because it's important that we bring everybody in the tent with us, that it's not just about one group of people who are going to benefit, but we have to solve those societal problems that drag us back and stop our ambition, and to make sure that AI works for everyone.
This is critical, and as you say, the opportunities are enormous, but there too will be challenges, there have been challenges, and as a company, we are awake to that as well, and to the responsibility that comes with the role that we occupy. You talked a lot about the opportunities and technology in general, in West Yorkshire in particular, but there are challenges also at the regional level, and maybe you can spend a couple of minutes talking about what you identify as the biggest challenges and steps that you're taking, and perhaps we can help with to overcome those challenges.
I think there's a couple of things. One is how long it takes to get things over the line. And certainly with Microsoft, we were working with Leeds City Council, with the power grid, with government to make sure that you could have that soft landing and we could get moving on the planning. And my understanding is that there's going to be more conversations from government about how that could be speeded up, because it can't be right that you want to invest in our regions and it's taking far too long. The grid is another challenge, because why is it that you can horse trade your position in the queue? That doesn't make sense. If you're ready to go, you should have access to the grid. Also skills. Now mayors across the country are taking responsibility for adult education budget and are leaning in much more to the skills agenda. How can we help you? And I know that Microsoft do a brilliant piece of work, supporting people to get digitally ready, or to move on to the next phase of learning. But surely mayors can be really pivotal in that agility that we have locally. You tell us what you need, and we can, put on that course, get those young people into the right place. But also, I have a business board, which is SMEs, and I also chair the Mayor's Business Council, which is our biggest businesses in the region, whether that's Jet2, Arla, Morrison's, Asda. And speaking to them, hearing from big business how it's fine for their young entrants into the business. They understand AI and the benefits of it, but their senior managers haven't got the skills for it. And they delegate it down. So we're able to run courses to support senior managers to get that learning as well. And finally, I would say transport is a big issue for our regions. And that's why I need to grow the economy. My growth plan is focused on transport and skills. And that's why our tram network, £2.5 billion investment, connecting Leeds and Bradford in the first instance, and together the size of Estonia, and they're disconnected. It makes, it's such an opportunity for growth. And then we will have a tram network that you see in other European cities. And also alongside transport, we're bringing buses back into public control, as you may have seen in Greater Manchester, also focusing on skills, because it's not right that we have young people who are leaving college or school and they're not ready for the future. So I think the opportunity is there because we know our patch, we know our businesses, and we can be really agile.
The skilling component is just so critical, and you mentioned, Mayor, that we're involved in this as well. We committed to skill in AI skills about 1 million people in this country over the coming year, with many people already skilled in different programs. We have an initiative we've actually pushed out just through the web called AI Skills Navigator. And if you do a search for that, you'll find essentially content that's for free. It's been open sourced effectively, organized by topic as well as by role. And lots of content coming online soon from LinkedIn Learning and so on. So we'll keep that up for sure. And that's an element I think we can work on together, perhaps even more closely. Equally, help from the national government is probably also always welcome. And here we are in Westminster after all. And so I wonder if you might say a word about how you see the role for the UK government, supportive of you in West Yorkshire and mayors across the country more generally.
Okay, well, this isn't meant to be disrespectful, but sort of get out of the way. In that, devolution is the game in town. So I know that the Deputy Prime Minister and Jim McMahon, who works in her team, they are absolutely focused on bringing devolution across the whole country. And I think we have pushed very hard to make sure that we have the freedoms and flexibilities to make our own decisions and to be more self-sustaining. So to stop that sort of begging bowl approach that we had to come down to Westminster and say, please, can we have some more for skills, or please, can we have some money for housing? So we can just get on with the job. And I'm pleased that West Yorkshire has been one of the mayoral strategic authorities that are going to have a single settlement where the funding bids are wrapped up into one pot, which then you can team and ladle and have more freedoms and flexibilities. But I think there is also further opportunities for greater freedoms, whether that is fiscal, a visitor tax, or whether that is about land value capture. I also think it's about self-organising amongst the mayors. In West Yorkshire, we have had a mayoral combined authority for the last 4 years now. I have another 4 years to run. But we have a new mayor in York and North Yorkshire. South Yorkshire has a mayor. So next week we're signing a White Rose agreement where we're going to be working very closely together and having that impact of scale to solve a lot of the problems that face us. So when you're talking about data centres, we can cluster them in Yorkshire, and in May, the final piece of the jigsaw for Yorkshire, Hull and East Riding, is going to get a mayor. So there will be 4 mayors for Yorkshire. We take a place over politics approach, so it doesn't frankly matter the political hue. We will work collectively together for Yorkshire. So where the challenges are, we will find a Yorkshire solution to that challenge. That doesn't take away our identities for our region, but just think of the heft of Yorkshire globally and internationally. And added to which, the mayors in the north have also come together in a loose group as the Great North. And when it comes to the green economy, when it comes to international investment, when it comes to innovation, being able to work across the north collectively is going to be quite a game changer. And one of the first outcomes for that relationship is one creative north, bringing together all of the talents of the north in the creative industries, one of the growing sectors in the government's industrial strategy. It's in my growth plan and many other mayors' growth plan. But collectively, how we can work together on skills, R&D, on access to finance. So I think the future is incredibly bright for the regions. And I know if Keir is true to his word, devolution by default is the new slogan that runs through us like the words in Blackpool Rock. But that's only for the northerners, that one.
I'd echo that. I want to, by the way, open up to the audience for any questions or comments you all may have in a couple of minutes. So get your questions ready, please. I would maybe echo your comment on just how effective the government can be at the national level in creating an environment that would attract the likes of Microsoft or other companies as well that are investing. And as you know, we are investing heavily, including in your neighborhood, which we're excited about. And we announced not long ago a £2.5 billion investment over the coming period, which is the largest single investment we've announced as a company in this country, not by coincidence. It's really the environment that we see here as creating opportunities for innovation, for growth. And that'll be, by the way, also infrastructure designed to run state-of-the-art large language models and 20,000 GPUs by next year, for instance. But let's talk a bit more, if you can, about the role of mayors, because devolution is real, as you're saying it, and it's happening very quickly. And I was very excited to hear about what that means for you here in this country, but also even just across the world as you interact with mayors in different parts of the world. Say more about what's happening these days, how the role of mayor has evolved, and what that really means for you also individually.
Well, it's an extraordinary job with great responsibilities. So I have responsibilities for housing, for transport, for skills. I'm the Police and Crime Commissioner, responsibilities for culture and place. And I've had the opportunity to go to New York, which is what we were discussing outside. So Mike Bloomberg, who was the mayor of New York, has set up a program for mayors across the world. 40 mayors from all over the world descend on New York, and it's a year-long program. I did it a few years ago, where you meet mayors from all over the world, and you have some exceptional modules and teaching, but actually it's in the connections and the learning from other mayors, how they tackle issues. Now, the challenge is that in the US in particular, a lot of the mayoral responsibilities, they're more local authority responsibilities like snow clearances, refuse, gun violence, and they're responding to that sort of thing. Whereas metro mayors in the UK are more like governors. So we're trying to develop a program, working with partners where we get that sort of that Bloomberg learning about for UK mayors that is quite specific. But I think it's such an extraordinary job. You can craft it in your interest. So you will see mayors across the country have, things that they're especially focused on, whether that is Andy and transport, but also homelessness. Steve Rotherham in Liverpool, that's about green energy. Kim McGuinness in the Northeast, she's really focused on ending child poverty. So if you have interests that are very specific, there will be a mayor out there that will also be able to chime with your interest. But I do agree with you that the UK is really ready to work with big international partners. And it's not just Microsoft that are looking at West Yorkshire and want to invest in West Yorkshire. We have a number of available sites where there is planning consent in place, partnerships already set up. So we're having many conversations because of that opportunity, but also how to make the most of the sort of campus-style offer. We can bring partners around you, whether that is agriculture, whether that is cooling companies, whether, all different types of businesses that would benefit from the heat that you're creating. So to have a sort of a campus approach. And I know that at Ferrybridge, they're looking at that as well. So the mayor's working globally and also nationally is quite a game changer. And I was just pleased to host a delegation from Nashville last week. A few months ago, I went to Nashville to meet the mayor of Nashville. And Nashville, as you may know, is a sort of equal region to West Yorkshire. It's home to health and life sciences. And we signed a health tech bridge where we're using our expertise, we're teaming and ladling our resources, we're sharing talents. Our businesses are going there, their businesses I hosted coming to us during Innovation Week in West Yorkshire. I shared the Mayor's Big Ideas Prize, £1 million for ideas that will end health inequality in West Yorkshire. And, they're taking that up as a great idea of sharing I'm learning from them, they're learning from me. So I was able to take a health and life sciences team of businesses, but also the creative industries. Nashville is known for its music, and there's been some amazing relationships come out of that trip. Going to India, meeting local representatives there and mayors. I think mayors, when the world is slightly unstable, shall we say, I think there is a certainty to the relationship between mayors that's sort of irrespective of global politics, because you know your patch, you know your businesses, you know your specialisms, and you know who to speak to. You have the connections.
And you're very close to the people, after all, as you are. And you are a mayor with big ideas, a visionary, really, including around technology. And that's been true for a long time. You were the Shadow Digital Secretary for some time as well. Maybe a final question before we open up to the audience. Your own use of AI, whether it's Copilot or some other tool, what kinds of things for you have you found useful in your own role? And I'll say, by the way, as you think about that, that here in this conference, I had the benefit of using a Copilot agent. Nowadays, people talk a lot about agentic AI, which absolutely is more than here. It was here already for some time. And so one of my colleagues, Susanna, here in the audience, actually built an agent for this event that allows me to interact with the agent and find out more about the agenda, who's speaking, what their backgrounds are, what they care about, what I might want to talk about with them in the corridors. So a lot of fun, very easy to do. Anyone can do it really in a few clicks of a mouse. But for you, how do you define your use of AI? What are some best practices?
Well, within our organization, we're trialing Copilot. And also, we are enabling our colleagues to use AI to distill briefings. As you can imagine, I have a multitude of responsibilities and there is much paperwork. And we are distilling that into more logical briefings. But if I could just share with you something personal, I've just moved house. And honestly, there is a company who's just an Australian company that have just moved to Leeds, PEXA. It's an absolutely huge investment in our region. And they are basically getting rid of solicitors and lawyers, seemingly, because they're using AI to help
That's
you.
Okay.
To help you're a lawyer.
Well, yeah.
To help you sell your house. So conveyancing, you'd get help with AI. I swear to God, I wish I'd used them, because it was so tortuous getting me to where I was. But we really all need to be less afraid of AI and really embrace the opportunities.
A great note to end on, but before we close and go to coffee, we have, I think, a few minutes for questions from the audience. There may be a microphone nearby if that's needed. Any questions or comments?
Oh, great. Good.
Yes.
And often I have to encourage women to ask a question, because usually it's a load of fellas, you all ask the questions, and then no woman asks a question. So
well, not just a woman, but a woman that was born and brought up in Huddersfield.
Whee!
Okay.
That's West Yorkshire, guys.
Yes, the best bit of West Yorkshire, I can say. I can say that. Brilliant to have you with us, Tracy, and great insights and input. I was, because I lead techUK, looking at our AI adoption by businesses themselves. Just how are Yorkshire and West Yorkshire businesses looking at the opportunity of AI? And how are you and your colleagues helping them to, as you say, to be brave, not be scared, and look at how do we drive AI adoption of actual businesses in West Yorkshire? Thank you.
Thanks so much. I mean, let's not forget, there are companies across the whole country that are still cash only. So, for some, we have a long way to go. But for those sectors that I spoke about at the beginning, they are already using AI, whether that's fintech, health tech, life sciences, the innovators, the entrepreneurs, they're already in this space, whether that's gaming as well, really big sector for our region. But for us, we are trying to lead by example, but also to support the anxiety around AI, which is to, as I say, the AI and ethics boot camps, but also the skills training programs. And, when we're running our digital programs, to weave AI opportunities into that as well. But also, saying to our investors, here in West Yorkshire, we have some of the smartest students, postgrads, professors, some of the best global businesses that are using AI. You can learn from each other. So we are not just those businesses that want to take AI. We're already innovating. And as I say, the space sector in particular is leading in that. So we are supporting clusters of innovation. And one of the examples of that, I would say, is our investment zone, which is £160 million worth of investment in 3 regions in West Yorkshire. The Innovation Arc at Leeds University, and it's with Leeds Teaching Hospital, the biggest teaching hospital in Europe. Huddersfield 3M Buckley, which is the research and innovation centre, where there's stadium to station corridor of innovation with the National Health Centre. They have a plan for 5 buildings next to the university. One is already out of the ground, the Dorothy Steele building, named after the first ever black midwife in the country, and that is the National Health Centre, which will be innovating around health solutions. And they have another 4 buildings that are coming out of the ground. And finally, the third partner is Bradford University. And as I said, some of the smartest AI and data analytics students in the country. And next to the university is the Space Centre. And in doing this work, we've also identified clusters around space, so radio frequency. Without having done that work, we wouldn't have known we actually have a radio frequency cluster. And a cluster of satellite supply chain companies, where most of the satellites orbiting the Earth have something from Shipley in their makeup. So we are really encouraging businesses to be bold and to be brave, and that we will support them in their learning. And that's why the adult education budget is so important. You tell us what you want, You are a company, you want a soft landing in West Yorkshire, we will have a pipeline of talent ready for you with the skills that you need. And that's why, for example, our tram network, we now know what we need in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years' time. We're starting to run those learning programs for that workforce. So when you've got somebody on the ground that understands your business, that understands your sector and can be an advocate and a champion to government and internationally, I think you stand a great chance.
Very exciting. I think we're at time, but I think you all recognize why the first ever female Metro mayor elected in this country, by the way, was re-elected in a landslide not long ago. So thank you very much, Mayor Tracy Brabin.
Thank you.
Tracy and Jeff, thank you so much. That was a really fantastic session. And I think, honestly, that's one of the most completely kind of convincing pictures for the power of devolution in the UK and also, frankly, for the Westminster. So thank you. Sorry, for Westminster. West Yorkshire. Sorry, good. As a northerner, my problem is I'm from the northeast, so anything south is sort of. Anyway. But listen, thank you so much for a really, really fantastic session. We're going to have a coffee break for about half an hour, and then we'll be returning to talk about infrastructure before we're joined by the Secretary of State for the final session today. But thank you so much for a really terrific session. Thank you.